welcome to Murder
and Everything Else.
My name is Joy.
And my name is Cheryl. And Joy and I are two old friends who are going to talk about murder and everything else.
Yay! Back to the regular greeting. No more of this crazy bitches stuff. Anyway, just rolling into our disclaimers. This is a quick reminder that this podcast is not for kids. So if the kids are around, lock them out of the room, stuff some cotton in their ears, put them to bed, because then they won't get to listen to this. Also, this week we're going to be discussing some heavy subject material, so it's even not for kids. And if you are triggered by or are suffering from disordered eating or an eating disorder, you will definitely want to skip this podcast, or you'll want to listen with caution.
Yes. Thank you for that.
All right.
Okay.
So, Cheryl, you want to roll right into our highs and lows?
Yes, of course I do.
Yay.
Okay, I'm going to start with my low, and it was on one of my, it's in conjunction with one of my pet peeves from the other week. Okay, remember how I talked about how I hate junk mail in the regular mail, your good old mailbox? I don't know how you don't get any. We get tons. It's unbelievable. But now I'm going to move on to junk mail.
I did get one today.
Oh, and you thought of me?
Yeah, one, and yeah, that was it. The other one was from Costco, and I shop at Costco, so it's not really junk. Although, why do I need to know what's on sale at Costco? Because I'm going to go to Costco.
I'm telling you, it's
like, stop sending me glossy papers telling me what's on special. When I get there, I'll see, oh, look, those cinnamon rolls are on special.
Exactly. And you know what I got the other day? I got an entire packet. It was in, 11 by 14 manila envelope with pages of AAA stuff. And we have AAA. I have AAA with Kevin, and it's like, it was such a waste. But okay, I already talked about that.
But AAA sometimes sends you that big map. That's kind of cool.
They still send maps. Remember the Thomas guy?
They also send stickers.
Oh God, Joy. I throw the whole thing out. Should I send those to you?
Send me the stickers. I put them on my computer.
Oh God. Oh my
gosh. And I put them on my water bottle, and I put them on my little knitting basket.
A AAA sticker?
Oh yeah, I put all kind of stickers.
Well,
if you saw how many stickers I have on my computer, I have so many stickers.
Well, I like stickers, cool. But they, I like them of sunflowers and puppies, and not AAA.
I like all kinds.
Oh God.
No, I have a AAA sticker. I do. I have AAA. I have Planned Parenthood. I have all kinds. I have one that says "Namaste, bitches."
I like that. Well, I'm sorry. I threw it out. I didn't even look through it. But so along those lines, let's talk about Spam, and not the kind in the can. We love Spam in Hawaii, where I'm from.
Yeah, it's the number one consumer of Spam in the United States.
In Hawaii, because it's like bacon for us. So we have
Spam ham.
Eggs. Yeah, we have Spam and eggs, and then Spam musubi, rice ball with the Spam on it. I mean, it's very classic.
It's salty. It's delicious. It's gelatinous. You know what it reminds me of? Veggie meat.
Well, and it looks gross when it's uncooked.
It is.
Yeah, it really does.
It's so good. It really it beefs up any dish you put it into.
Yeah, but you really have to grill it or fry it. You can't. I mean, I can understand why people. Have you ever seen those mukbangs where they take a whole Spam and they cook it? And they bite into it and they eat. Okay, that's unappetizing.
Yeah,
it has to be sliced kind of thin. Yeah, it's.
Remember what I said when we talked about hot dogs? Gabe always calls it butts and snouts.
Yeah.
So I'm like, when you're eating Spam, you're probably eating
It's
Like
just
they've already used all the butts and snouts for the hot dogs, so it's whatever's left over after the butts
toenail
and snouts.
clippings and
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, pubic hair.
I don't even want to know what's in it, but it is delicious when you slice it up and fry it. But anyway, not
Mm,
that kind of spam. Spam in email and phone calls. Like, I don't know what happened. I think it might have been when I was browsing for jobs. I don't know what happened, but like a month ago, I started getting, like before that, I would get maybe 5 emails at a time or whatever. But if I don't look at my phone for a while, I'll have like 19 emails all of a sudden. They're all spam. They're all spam. And so I just go, you can edit and then select, right? So you can just select a bunch of them and delete instead of having to delete one at a time. So I was just doing that. And then I got mad and irritated. So I started blocking each one and then going to unsubscribe. And then it makes me mad when you have to put your email address in to unsubscribe to something you never subscribed to in the first place. And
right.
the thing is that they work, so even phone calls, they have those robocalls. And I worked for a company that provided 800 numbers for your business, and you could get a vanity number where it spelled something out, like 1-800-JOY, run, run like joy.
You
Um,
worked for a company that did that?
yeah, yeah. I don't think
Oh,
I,
that's
no, I must have told you about
crazy.
it.
Was that
Um,
one of those like 2-week jobs?
no, it's probably more like 6 months,
Hmm.
but it wasn't long. Yeah, but um, I learned there because we'd have people complain, they call and they go, I'm getting all these spam calls. And we told them, and they're like, we want you to block it. And we would have to explain to them, sir, ma'am, even if we block it, they will just use a different number. It's this whole like scamming thing.
Yeah.
So even the blocked email addresses, I I don't know what happens, but I'll get an email and you can see the red circle with the line through it, meaning that's a blocked address and it's still coming into my inbox. So I don't know what the hell is happening. But it's sort of like you said, Fiona, like applied to, no, I mean, Chloe applied to colleges and then she got all that junk mail
Oh,
for
yeah.
college. I don't know what happened, but it's
It's so
super
annoying.
random. Some of it's pornographic, like, are you interested in
Huh.
a hot Ukraine beauty? And then just from that all the way
I
to you've won, something at freaking Walmart. I don't know. It's so annoying, and I think it happened. I think if you just go to one place and put your email in one site or something, it just like sends a message out to the wolves and then they're in your freaking inbox, and it is the most,
yeah.
I really like, why do I have to unsubscribe to something I didn't subscribe to? I think there should be a law. Anyway, I could do a whole episode on that. So
Well,
that's
stay tuned, guys, because we may do a whole episode on that.
because I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. It's like, yeah, I know I'm not alone. And I look at Kevin's phone, and you
You
know how
are not alone.
we know Joy loves to sing.
Uh,
You can't sing too many bars because then we have to pay royalties.
oh,
Um,
yeah, I know. I think it's like what, 4 seconds or 6 seconds or
I don't know.
something.
We're gonna have to research that because I do want to
Hmm.
do a name that tune type of episode.
Ooh, I'm here for that.
But anyways, but I'll look at Kevin's phone and I'll see the mail icon and I'll see like 400 something unread because I know he doesn't take the time to clean all of those out. So don't send an email to him, everyone who knows him, because who knows if
Oh
he's
my
going to get it.
God.
Sorry, Kevin. All right. And my high is okay. Thelma and Louise is my number one movie, right? If anybody's listened to our top 5 movies, that has been my number one movie since 1990 or 91 when it came out. Well, I watched it the other day, and I had watched it like within the last 2 years, but I never thought to do this. So from the time that I watched it in 1990, there were a couple of uh, places, pieces of dialogue where I couldn't understand what they were saying. So I was watching it on my iPad and I'm like, oh my God, I can put the closed caption on. And after all these years, how many years is that from 1990? Is that 30 something? I can't help me with the math. Anyway, decades. I didn't know what they were saying, and I finally put the closed caption on. I was like, oh my God, after all this time of it being my number one movie, I finally got to see exactly what they were saying. It was like 2 points in the movie. I can't tell you
Cool.
how thrilled I was.
Huh.
Because
That's
Louise like yelled something in the convertible Thunderbird, and I never knew what the hell she was saying. And I was like, oh my God, that mystery is solved after 30 years or whatever it's been.
that's
So that's my
cool.
high.
That's very cool.
What about you?
Um, well, let's see. I had such a busy week.
You say that every.
So, I mean, I gotta tell you, people, sometimes I don't know if I'm coming or if I'm going. Like, literally. So, I have a part-time job. I'm a nanny. And then I have a kid I have to drive to school. And then I, play in this orchestra. And then I'm podcasting with Cheryl. And then in the meantime, I have to do stuff like pick up the dry cleaning, go to the grocery store, walk the dogs, buy the dog food, take the animal to the doctor. Blah, 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 blah.
Buy
Well,
some
this week,
shoes.
yeah, buy some shoes. I mean, it's a wonder that people, the average lifespan is what is it, 4 score and 20 or 5 score and 2. And I don't know what it is, but it's amazing people even live to be that long because sometimes, like every Friday night, I'll literally be falling asleep at like 7:30, 8 o'clock because I'm so exhausted from the whole week. And yeah, I get it. Like half of that stuff is self-inflicted, but still, I'm tired. I am tired. I mean, I guess if I wanted to, I could have homeschooled my kids so that I didn't ever have to leave the house. I could have not had kids, so I wouldn't be tired from that. And I could not get any animals, so I wouldn't be tired from that, and I could probably just eat spam that I ordered from Amazon so I don't have to go to the grocery store. I mean, there's all this stuff I could do to avoid that, but it's like, I mean, come on, that's no
Yeah,
quality of
come
life,
on, that's
people.
not realistic. Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, I had to get new tires this week, and
Oh, you hate
I
tires.
hate getting tires. And in the past, I've always done 2 and 2. So I get the 2 tires. I don't know if it goes in the front or the back. I don't know if they put one in the top corner and one. I do know that they put them together. So they put them either in the front or the back. And then the next time you go in. So I usually split it up and do 6 months and 6 months. But I bit the bullet and I was like, all right, I'm just going to do all 4 tires. First of
Ooh,
all, yeah, it was correct. It was like $1,000. I'll
it's
just spit it out.
so
It's so expensive.
it's
And then
ridiculous. I
they're like, okay, your car's ready. And I'm like, I walk out to the car and I'm like, it's going to look really nice because I have new tires. It
and one of
looks
them's
this.
flat.
No, it looks
It's
exactly the
exactly the
same
same.
as
That's
it
what
did
this.
when I dropped it off. It still has the same stupid black tires on. To me, they look exactly the same. They don't look fancy or bigger or thicker or juicier or nothing. I'm like,
There's no
good
bling on it.
Lord. Yeah,
Yeah, I
nothing.
know. It's like, yeah,
Ugh.
it's so disappointing. It's like getting your brakes done.
Yep. But so that's my low.
Okay.
Unless you're like thinking about all the times I've had flat tires, in which case I guess it could be my high.
Yeah,
But
hi.
the other thing I just have to say is this. So we've talked a lot about the death of customer service and the
Hmm.
death of like civility and the death
Humanity.
of yeah, of people being nice. I have to tell you, for anybody who's local to where I live, and that's probably 59 out of the 60 people listening to this, um
They're all your neighbors.
right. It's literally it's called J&W Automotive, and there's a guy, I think his name is Alex. He works in the office. He has, I swear to you, the best customer service skills of anyone that I have met in that kind of job in probably 12 years.
That's
He
awesome.
is so attentive to his clients. He knows me by name, probably because I've been in there a shitload of times. And he saw this lady spending all her paycheck and half her
Better
husband's
be
in here.
nice to her.
But he is so knowledgeable. He quoted me cheap tires, mid-range tires, expensive tires. He broke down what the cost would be for 2 versus 4. He called me the day before to just let me know that, what time I could anticipate coming in, how long it would take, so I wouldn't be waiting all day. He's just like on his game, and again, this is like a local mom and pop shop. It's within 5 miles or less of my house. It's so nice
Maybe he's
to
lonely.
No, it's
Just
so
kidding.
nice. I think he even, like,
It,
went to the local high school and grew up around here, but he's just so
he
polite.
enjoys it.
Oh, it's
It
so
sounds like
nice.
he's one of the rare people that loves their job, you
Yeah,
know?
and I forgot to tell him. Oh, and while I was in there, I was sitting in the waiting area, and a guy came in, and he had dropped his truck off, and he said to the guy, "Oh, I got 3 German Shepherds." And then we started talking about German Shepherds because I have a German Shepherd. And it was just so, I was like, "You know what? This is what's so nice about living in, like, not a highly populated area where people are just real, like, friendly and down home and people know you by name." I felt kind of like Norm from Cheers. I really did. I
Mm,
mean, I literally was just like, this is so nice.
yeah, no,
And
that's really cool and very
yeah, and
rare.
I was going to tell him that I was going to give him a shout out on the podcast, but I forgot to. No, I know what it was. He had to go to lunch and he was running some errands, and so he left, and I thought he'd come back, but he didn't. So I'm going to actually, like, find out their business email and forward him the link to this once we get it
Oh, very
up
cool.
so that he can hear the shout out. And I hope his name's Alex, because if it's not, then I'm going to feel like an idiot because I've been there so many times I should know all their names. Anyway,
That's very, very nice.
that's
It's like
that's
Trader
my
Joe's.
high and low. Yeah,
People at
except
Trader
I
Joe's
don't
seem
know.
very happy.
Yeah, but I don't know any of their names.
No, I know, but they just seem like everyone that works at a Trader Joe's seems like they love working there. Like if they have to work, that they enjoy
Yeah.
working. So,
The only other place where this happens is at Costco. The Costco that I go to, there is a cashier that every time he scans my card, he goes, "Hi, Joy." And then he talks to me like he remembers who I am and like we're having a normal it's not like,
mhm.
"How are you today? Did you find
Yeah,
everything you
that's
needed?"
yeah,
Blah 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 blah. Do you
the
want a
same
paper
question.
box? Yeah,
Did you
and
find
it's
everything you
so nice. And
It's
I
you
love that he customizes his conversations, and I feel like, you know what? He should win some kind of customer service award of the week or something.
you know what?
Um,
I don't go there because we just buying in bulk unless it's toilet paper. We can't eat stuff,
oh,
before it goes bad.
you
And I
can't
don't
eat
know
toilet paper.
exactly unless it's
Cheryl,
cooked
but I
really
gotta
well.
tell you, the dudes at Costco are pretty fine. I don't know if there's a prerequisite,
Really?
like in order to work here, you have to be pretty fine. But I
Oh,
remember in my 20s going to Costco. I think I even maybe went out on a date with a couple of them when
I
I was in my 20s.
I don't
But
doubt it.
literally, it's like they are hiring just pretty people, which I'm
Maybe.
sure they can't do because that would be discrimination, right?
Well, of course, it's an unspoken requisite for working there.
Right.
It's to bring people back, like you. You're like, ooh, I want to go see, the hot guys at Costco.
I
Um,
know, but I don't go back for that. I go back for the croissants and bagels
sure.
and for the grapes that in my house only last a few days and the giant vats of olive oil. Um yeah.
Do you use a lot of
So,
olive oil
oh yeah, we
to
just
cook?
use avocado spray and olive oil. That's all we use now.
Oh, okay.
Because it's supposed to be better for you than all the other oils. It's the
Big.
Mediterranean diet. All those Mediterranean people apparently are living forever.
Well, I don't want to live forever, so I'm not going to eat
Ah,
olive oil. The Costco, I don't know about your Costco, but generally Costco's parking lots stress me out
oh yeah, I
because
get
they're
there
so
at
crowded.
9:45 in the
People
morning
are crazy.
so that I can be in an empty parking lot. Also, I get there at 9:45 so I can be the first person in and the first person out. I
Yeah,
know
well, good.
exactly where everything is that I need, and I have a little circuit, and I just run and get it, and then I run out of the store.
Oh,
So
well, good
I'm
for you.
I'm in and out of there by like 10:15 at most days.
Awesome.
So there's like a whole like I could teach a class on how to get in and out of Costco.
You'd make a lot of
Anywho,
money. Okay.
I know, right? I could
Yes.
even teach that class in Spanish, so maybe
Yeah.
I'll turn that
Ooh.
into like a side gig.
Mm-hmm.
Just in case this podcasting thing doesn't work out for us, I could do that. Anyway,
Always
I
good
need
to
to
have a
roll.
backup plan.
That's right. I need to roll into our shout outs, guys. And this week, our shout out goes to my nephew Alex, who helped me set up the Murder and Everything Else Instagram. So if you haven't gotten a follow or a follow me or whatever the hell they're called, just remember to go and look for it. Follow, like, subscribe, whatever you kids do with that Instagram thing. And also, you should be following, liking, subscribing to Spotify as well. Like,
Yeah.
turns out we're supposed to be saying every week, don't forget to subscribe
Subscribe, review, rate, subscribe, and tell all your friends and family.
and listen, because it's good shit.
That's right.
No, I mean, no obligation, guys, but I'm just
No
saying,
pressure, no pressure. But
listen, for the free price of whatever you're paying for Spotify to listen to this, it's not enough. Because let me just tell you, this right here, this is some quality shit you're listening to. All right. And on that note, we are going to be heading in a different direction this week. We are going to be talking about disordered eating and eating disorders. And we have, for the second time only on Murder and Everything Else, we have a guest co host.
yay!
So we're going to turn it over right now to our guest co host and ask her to tell us her name, her age, and then a little bit about herself.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. I'm Carson. Oh gosh, I already forgot what was the prompt. I'm 23 and currently I am living up north, although I'm from Texas. I made the big move up here and yeah, I already forgot every single prompt you gave me. I also have ADHD.
That's all
That's
right.
right. So,
ADHD.
yeah, that's awesome. My ADHD sister. So, tell us a little bit, Carson, about like, are you in school? Are you done with school? Are you working? Are you between jobs? Just give us a little idea of like where you are at 23.
Oh God, I needed a trigger warning for these questions. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in psychology and religious studies. So I'm pretty much unemployable at this point. And I am gonna try to get my master's. That'll be my next move. Yeah, right now I do food delivery, and I kind of love that just because it's super flexible.
That's cool.
Awesome.
We could do an episode on asking her questions about her food delivery
Oh,
experiences.
there's so
I'm
much tea.
Oh my
sure
God.
you've had some very interesting encounters.
Yeah, I had my first person ever yell at me the other day. That was weird.
Oh wow.
Because
Yeah, because I almost delivered it to the wrong house. I didn't. She
oh.
got her food, but
Well, that's the problem when you're working with anything with food. People are hungry, and when people are hungry,
ugh,
they're hangry, and then you just don't want to deal with that.
it's
But
so true.
I knew somebody that used to deliver pizzas, and he said that women are crazy. He said that it was not unusual for them to he knocks on the door, they open it, and they are butt naked. Yeah, he said it was
I
not uncommon. So
I don't know
yeah.
if I've
Have
ever
you ever
seen
had that happen?
I had someone thought that I was like it was clear that he was, so it was a hotel and he was like waiting or maybe it was
For more than just
somebody was
food.
a hooker. And then, like, I think he
Oh
was waiting, like, she opened the door, she was like, "Come in, baby." And I was like, "No."
no. Oh Lord.
The
Yeah.
noise Cheryl made just then is the noise she makes whenever I'm going to tell a poop story. She gets like this really sick sounder where she's like, "Oh no." It's
Oh
hilarious.
God,
Oh
Yeah.
man.
yeah, that could be
Well, that's
awkward.
amazing, Carson. So you are double majored, so you already have your degree and you're already like planning to go to graduate school. So even after the 4 years of, or however many years of undergraduate, you already know what the commitment's going to be like and the studying is going to be like. You still want to go back to school and study more. And do you mind if we ask, like, what do you want to study when you do your master's?
That's a really good question. Um,
She
no,
wasn't
I mean,
prepped for these questions, Joe. You're like coming up with these on the spot, and it's not very fair.
no, it's fine. I am
That's
also
show
asking
business, girl.
these
You got to be
questions.
like on the fly.
I definitely, the end goal is to be a therapist. Up in the air, yeah, how to get there. I mean, probably I'll just go with psychology, the original plan.
Nice.
But yeah,
Help
it's
people. Yeah,
That's
that
great.
seems like it would be a rewarding
You don't
career.
have,
yeah.
I got to tell you, I can just say because we are big fans in our house of psychologists and psychotherapists and psychoanalysts and psychiatrists and anything to do with like helping our brains along. And
Mhm.
I can just say that every therapist, I feel like they're so busy right now. And this started during the pandemic because
Hmm.
telehealth became a thing. They're
Yes.
so busy that it's not about like, it's about them not having time to meet with you. It's not about like, lowering or raising their costs. It's not about, it's literally like they're so booked out. And I don't know, did like all half the therapists in America quit? Did half of them get COVID and become incapacitated? Did a bunch jump ship and decide to go do what you're doing for work or find a new career? But like, but the therapists that remain seem to me to be like so incredibly like saturated with work that I feel like we need more therapists. So yay for you to go
Hmm.
into a career where you're probably going to jump in feet first and like not be able to come up for air.
Yeah.
Well, don't scare her. Don't scare her out of it.
Yeah, right?
No, I'm
That's
sure there
good.
will be no lack of work that's for sure.
Yeah.
You're probably also, the cool thing about therapy is there's so many different like areas that you could practice in. So
Yeah.
you're not restricted to just sitting in a room falling asleep and listening to me talk about my mother.
Oh, but I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, I'm sure I've used this on you before, Carson. I know I've told Cheryl this, but I had a therapist that once told me, because I met with her and I said, yeah, I said we're going to talk about my mom again, and she's all, well, we like to say in therapy, if it's not one thing, it's your mother. And I swear to
That's
you,
so good.
I have
That's
used
so
it
good,
a
Joy.
million times because it's so good.
That is so good. Did you hear it somewhere, or did you come up with that on the fly?
No, my therapist said it, and I
Oh, I
was
mean,
just
she said.
like,
What am I saying? Okay.
That's funny.
Hello. Um, I wonder if that's a saying in the therapy world,
it
the
has to
therapy
be.
world.
It
If
has to
it's not
be.
one
It's
thing,
so
it's your mother.
perfect.
It is. That's
So
amazing.
true.
Well, we're going to start into our questions. And I think what we'll do is we're just going to have like Cheryl ask a question and then I'll have ask a question. And then, yeah. And I'm so excited and interested to talk to you about this interesting and also vital topic that I think is so, you know, um, it's so important because it affects. I know when I was a kid, we only heard of eating disorders with regards to girls, and we never heard about it with regards to boys and men, and now it's become very like prevalent for it not to just be something isolated to girls and women. And also, we heard about it only with regards to girls, like teenage girls. Now you're seeing girls as early as elementary school that are displaying disordered eating habits. And then also women in their 50s and 60s and 70s who are also still suffering the effects of like untreated, undiagnosed um, eating disordered eating patterns or eating disorders. So I'll just we'll have Cheryl start, and we'll ask some questions.
Yeah, and Carson, I just want to say thank you for opening up and sharing something that's so personal. I really want to thank you for doing that with us.
Yeah.
Um, so my question is, when did you realize you were struggling with an eating disorder? When did you start displaying disordered eating habits, and how old were you?
Yeah, I think kind of I have two very different answers. That's kind of like two questions for me of like when did I start having disordered eating versus like when I realized what
Mm-hmm.
that actually was. Like I
Right.
think, I definitely it all starts pretty young, right? Like I remember being like, I don't know, 5 or 6 at the swimming pool looking at myself in a bathing suit. But I think the disordered eating started when I was 14, but I don't think I realized that I had an eating disorder until much, much later than that. Because I just thought I was like, dieting or like just waiting a little bit longer till I'm really hungry.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I don't think I really realized it until honestly, maybe even like after the fact of like getting into the hospital, honestly. That
Oh, wow.
might have made me realize.
Well, so what were you doing? Were you restricting, or like you said, you were just waiting longer intervals to eat? Do you remember?
Yeah, it all started, yeah, with just like with restrictive
Hmm.
eating, like waiting till a certain time of the day, and then I could have a certain portion of a certain type of food, and it was just so um like you know you don't function well when your body doesn't have anything in it. And so
Yeah.
it kind of becomes this cycle of like it's all you can think about, but you're not
Yes.
doing it. And that's definitely how it started. um it definitely morphed into after a little bit before, but after the hospital too was when I had bulimia, and I think I was officially diagnosed with binge purge disorder, anorexia, and bulimia. But one thing I wanted to mention too was like in the hospital, I learned that like the diagnosis itself, it really doesn't matter. Like there's no good amount of eating disorder. So like getting a diagnosis was not nearly as important as I thought it was.
Hmm.
And I will say one thing I definitely want to mention in this interview or podcast interview was I always thought that I wasn't sick enough to get help or to seek treatment.
Hmm.
I was, I was like, well, I'm not like a skeleton. So for me, that was like, I'll go to the hospital when I look like I'm on my deathbed type. That's how I was going about it.
Yeah, you didn't
Right.
think about the way you were eating or not eating as a problem, right? Until it like affected
Yeah,
your
because it
health or.
was it was just it was a problem that I was dealing with, and it just really was on the back burner for me. And
Hmm.
like for it's so surprising how long I was able to leave it on the back burner. Um and it just really never felt like I was sick enough.
Yeah.
Um and then when I did finally call the hospital and I met with them, I thought that they weren't going to let me in because I wasn't sick enough, you know?
Hmm.
And I was like, well, I weigh X amount, so like I totally understand if you don't admit me, kind of thing. And
Wow,
they
so
were
you're
like,
kind of downplaying what you were going through.
yeah, oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah. Wow.
Interesting.
They were like, it does not work like that. Girl, get in here.
Yeah. Were any of the your friends going through the same thing, or is it something I know it's something you don't really share because I had gone through that too. I had gone through a stage because I used to dance, so it's all about your weight. But I
Yeah.
remember I went through a phase where I ate an apple a day, and that was it.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah, and it's
ugh.
not like I was going to go around announcing that proudly, you know. So
Hmm.
did you feel like, how were your friendships? Like, did you hide it from them, or did they know? Did you have another friend that was going through the same thing?
Yeah, I tried reaching out to several people. I will say that I think it was 9 people I eventually ended up telling, like 9 different people in my life. Most of them, some of them adults, some of them, peers, friends. But I think that the reason nobody helped me was just because they didn't know how.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, like you mentioned, I'm sure, well, even I know now that a lot of my friends were also suffering with eating disorders. And so when you go to them, I went to my best friend at the time, and I told her I was expecting a call from this hospital to see if I could get in, and she just laughed and she was like, "You don't have an eating disorder." It was just like kind of it's so taboo that it was so hard for me to tell people. And
Mm-hmm.
then
Mhm.
like once you finally tell them and they have that reaction of like, "Oh, come on, it's not that big of a deal. We all do that."
Yeah, and especially if she was doing it, then she doesn't want to admit to, she doesn't want to label it as something, right? Because she's
Yeah.
eating the same way.
And so
And
I think it's
Also,
just a matter of like not knowing how to respond because it's so hush hush. Like it's not nobody really talked about it.
hmm
mhm,
Myself included. I mean, I did not tell anybody. It was so hard for me to just tell like the closest people. I mean, I told them I had eating disorder, but when I went into the hospital, I didn't let like anybody know. Like I just disappeared for a few months. They probably thought I was like
mhm.
pregnant and hiding or something. Like I was just gone.
mm. But
It's
that's
so I just wanna, like, say this really quickly because this was something that, really became apparent to me when, my girls were both in middle school. Um, and I talked to several friends about it because I was so frustrated with how much silence there is. And and one of the things that I really focused on was a lot of women's issues, and I mean women like when girls become women. So like when girls start to menstruate and when girls' bodies start to change, is a lot of those things are shrouded in secrecy in our culture. So we don't talk about them bleeding. We don't talk about them, when they wear their bra, because we want to protect them and we want to kind of insulate them from all the scrutiny. It's bad enough that men start to look at them in their bathing suits when they walk by, and men start to look at their breasts as they stick out of their tops. And not just men, girls do it too. And boys will comment and girls will comment if a girl's breasts grow really large. And I think that when that happens, because a lot of times you start to see disordered eating patterns when your body starts to change because it's something that a lot of kids only have control over. You have no control over your breasts growing and you're all of a sudden getting pubic hair and all of a sudden people are looking at you, and but you have control over what you're putting into your body and so because we have all this secrecy around these things that happen to girls and we don't talk about them openly, and I feel like we need to be more open and talk more openly and stop making it seem like girls are these like gentle little like flowers to be protected. Whereas, boys don't have blood that comes out of anywhere, and boys don't have, boobs that spring out of, flat chests. I mean, unless they're, you know, I don't know, different or something, but um or a little heavy set. But it's interesting because every mom that I talked to, when I connected with moms who were also struggling with this, with maybe somebody, it was like we whispered the conversations even. And it made me
Mm-hmm.
so sad because I was like, we have to stop whispering these issues because they're never going to get better if we walk around and pretend they're not happening. Because that was the other thing. I was like, how do we fix something and talk to girls about, we are talking about body positivity, and we're talking about plus size girls, and we're talking about owning your body, and, and being fat is beautiful, and blah, 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 blah. But yet we whisper when it's something else, like something like disordered eating, or when it's periods, or when it's, um, you know, and I just got so frustrated with the whispering. And a lot of the moms would say, well, I just, I don't want my daughter to hear me. And I was like, I remember one of my girls' therapists saying, you need to get angry because it's not going to get better unless you get angry. Because if
Mhm.
you're jumping around trying to cater to all this crazy behavior, you're just going to end up crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent, but I'll let you get back to get back to what you were saying.
I
What?
agree completely. I think, especially with the thing you were saying about boys and girls, another aspect of it too is it's really glorified um, when girls do lose weight. And, I mean, I was at a point, I was like probably 16, and I had dropped like 30 pounds. Like, everyone was asking, like, oh, how'd you do it? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you look great. And
Yeah.
even like at a high school dance, I had a friend's father make a comment about, like, whoa, your body looks so different, you're so much older, you're so beautiful now.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
Ew.
gosh.
the attention that you get when you do lose weight, I mean, at 16, 17, 18, I had just gone from never getting male attention to then, like you said, I now had boobs, and I was skinnier, and I was working out all the time. I was in quote unquote good shape. I was not. Spoiler alert. My heart was failing.
Oh
But
gosh.
like,
Yeah. Oh.
yeah, the attention I got, all of a sudden, guys are noticing me and talking to me. And it's again, it makes it harder to think of it as a bad thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, you're getting all this positive attention and it's messing with your head.
Yeah.
It's completely messing with your head.
Oh yeah. Carson, it's so interesting the thing you said about someone kind of dismissing I your that, oh, it's not an eating disorder. I was kind of I was a chubby teenager and into like my first year of college, and my sophomore year of college I lost like 75 pounds.
Mm.
And it totally changed my college experience because all of a sudden boys who never looked at me started asking me on dates. But anyway, that whole thing aside, so of course my value I realized was like in how much I weighed because nobody
Mm,
looked at me before. And now all of a
Mhm.
sudden it was like, I had no end of dates, and it was like, wow, look at that. I love myself because everybody else loves me now that I'm skinny. But I will say that, like, I remember thinking in my head, I think I'm crazy, and not and people looking at me and saying, "You can't have an eating disorder because you're fat." Like, nobody fat has an eating disorder. Like, the whole point of an
mm,
eating disorder is that you get skinny. And I remember thinking, okay, so I'm not crazy. There's nothing wrong with my brain. What I need to do is I need to get skinny. Maybe somebody will pay attention to me if I get skinny.
mm.
And, and then my sophomore year. And I can just like tell you, I mean, I I never once, I mean, I probably managed a functioning eating disorder for 15, better part of 15 years. I never once told anybody because I was pretty sure that, you know, they'd say, well, again, because I would balloon up and then lose the weight and then balloon up and then lose the weight. They'd say, well, there's no way because, again, you're short, you're stocky, you have a round face, you're not a skinny girl. So,
And it
Mhm.
almost seems to matter less to people if you are heavier and you lose a lot of weight than if you're skinny and you lose a lot of weight.
mhm,
Suddenly that's really serious. But if you're
right,
bigger to begin with,
Yeah.
then it's like congratulations.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
right.
So you
That's
started, sorry, so I just want to get the timeline. So you said you started um, disordered eating around 14, right?
That's when I distinctly remember, yeah, starving, yeah, myself.
Okay. And then when did you realize that you were struggling with an eating disorder? You know what I mean? Because it doesn't, you said actually earlier that it starts off with like, okay, well, I'm going to, like for me, it would be, I'm just going to eat less. So
Mhm.
the portion was ridiculous. It was like for a mouse. Um, but I thought that was okay because I was still eating, right? So it started off like I'm just gonna make the portion smaller, but it was like ridiculous amount. Okay, so how did that start for you? So you started restricting, but then when did you realize, okay, this is
Yeah,
there's an issue here?
there was a time when I was younger. I would say there's 2 points. The first time I was, oh, I don't even know, maybe like I was somewhere between 15 and 17, and I don't remember. It's a big window, but I went to my therapist who, um, and I don't know how she was a therapist, but
oh
I had
Yeah,
no.
there's some bad ones.
I had it took everything in me. I built up for it, like, to tell her. I built up to telling her for weeks, and then I finally told her, and I was like, "Hey, girl, like, it's no big deal, but like, I haven't eaten anything in 5 days," and so she got her psychiatrist who like ran the place, and he came in, and he was like, Mm, I think if that were true, you'd have a hard time standing here.
Oh my god.
And I was like,
Oh
you know what?
my.
That's a great point. Like, maybe you're right. This really isn't that big of a deal. And so she had me take a quiz on her computer, which, like, I love that, like, a BuzzFeed style quiz was like
Oh.
the diagnosis criteria. So I filled it out, and it was like, if you got a score of 21 out of 30 or something, then you probably have an eating disorder, something like that.
Oh my
And
God. It's
I
like
ended
one of
up
those quizzes
scoring
out of the
really,
Cosmo magazine.
yes.
Right.
That's freaking oh my God. Go ahead. I'm mad.
No, no, you should be. I wasn't at the time because I didn't know better, but I scored like a 26 or something. Like it was above, and even that wasn't enough. Like even though I scored, like it was pretty bad, it's still, she very much didn't think it was a big deal. Obviously, she didn't tell my parents or anything, even though I was young enough to where she definitely should have.
Right.
Um, so that was, I think, the first time I had ever like entertained the idea of getting help. I didn't want her to tell my parents, obviously. I wanted her to just, that 1 hour session we had each week somehow help me. But I mean, it very
Did it?
much
I mean, how? Well, if
did
she
not.
doesn't believe you, how can she help you? Do you feel like she helped you? I mean,
No.
started off like on the wrong foot. Like,
No,
oh
I
my
very
God,
much like that did it for me. That was enough for me to continue. I was like, "Okay, great. There's nothing wrong with this lifestyle. I'm gonna keep it up
Oh
for
my
a few
god,
more
that's
years."
so terrifying. Just as a
that's
parent to hear
unbelievable.
that, like, and to think that, like, my child could go and have be met with so little compassion and so little understanding. And hi, here's a Cosmo quiz. Let's have you take this. I
I
mean, that's
mean,
just
you know,
crazy.
the courage it must have taken to go and share that with someone, and you're met with that. I mean, now you're dealing with a whole bunch of now she just gave you more problems,
Yeah.
because now you're like, okay, well, I guess one, do people not believe me? Or two, is eating for five, not eating for 5 days, I guess it's not that bad. I
It's
mean,
Right.
yeah.
it's that's freaking unbelievable.
Unreal. Well, I want to ask the next questions because I feel like it really ties into where we are right now. Um, People sometimes equate disordered eating or eating disorders to an overbearing parent, strict food rules, strange diets in the home like veganism, vegetarianism, lacto ovo vegetarianism, pescatarianism, or religious food rules like kosher or halal, things like that. Did any of these play a part in disordered eating patterns, maybe like that later became an eating disorder?
I think religion wasn't a huge aspect of it, although, you know, just like everyone else, I definitely used Lent as an excuse to, deprive myself of certain food groups. Like we would always give up, we'd give up sweets for Lent, right? So you couldn't
Mhm.
have any sweets all of Lent. But other than that, I don't. We didn't do any kosher. We were Catholic, so um, not too much of that. And I don't I know that we always did. I mean, everyone was kind of a victim of diet culture in the early 2000s. Like, Weight Watchers. Everybody's mom was on Weight Watchers. That was.
Right.
Um, I don't think my mom contributed to my eating disorder any more than anyone else. In society. Um, I don't know why I single out my mom. I guess my dad either, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, so
Right.
your parents weren't you know pushing or encouraging, I don't know what the words I want to use, to eat a certain way at home, or were they eating a certain way?
I mean, no, I think my mom always has done different diets. Again, I think like who isn't, a victim of diet culture? Like it was
But do
just
you
like
think
what everyone did?
but do you think that affected you, seeing your mom on diets, now and then?
I'm sure deep down, like, seeing my mom talk badly about her body, knowing that we have a similar body type, I'm sure that
Mhm.
did deep down something, but that was
Wow.
definitely like by no
Yeah.
means like the catalyst for me. You know what I mean? I think even if
Yeah,
she
but
hadn't, I don't
but
blame it on her in any way.
Yeah, and I will say that like when we went to the doctor because we had some patterns, bad food patterns that were developing in our home, the therapist, the first thing she did, which I have to say was so great, she wanted to meet with my husband and myself and also meet with then my husband, myself, and our child, and then carry on from there with meeting with the child. So she could get like a family kind of background
Mhm.
to what was happening. And she said right off the bat, she said, just so you know, this is not something that you gave your child. And it was so important to hear that
Yeah.
because those of us who've had children, how many times do you hear women say that like, look at what my children did to my breasts or look at what my children did to my body? I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that, like, going through the process of having a child is going to blow everything which way from Sunday?
Mhm.
Like literally, I mean, women with like pancake boobs. Oh, my kids sucked the life out of them, or with all the like flabby tummy rolls. Well, that's the result of the twins. I mean, you hear this stuff
Yeah.
constantly. So, the having the therapist say that was so important because I mean, I would have like jumped off. I felt like I was going to jump off a bridge. I was like, of all the things that I did give my kids, like all the great things, like, oh, the beautiful hair and the beautiful eyes and the blah blah blah. Like, oh, now you're gonna tell me that there's a bad list of shit that I gave my kids? Like, how is that? Like, please don't say that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
yeah.
and everybody's just human. I know that's so profound, but everybody is human. Nobody's perfect, right? So I know for myself, um going from 12 to 13 and 14 was there was I had a weight gain from 12 to 13 and 14. And I remember being in my bedroom and hearing my mom say to my one of my brothers, and I guess, and also because I was being spoken about in the third person, but she knew I could hear her, was, I think that part in itself was really hurtful and really damaging. But she said, have you noticed that Cheryl's gained weight? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's just, so I'm not saying it's one particular thing, but it's just a lot of contributing factors. um and in this day and age with Instagram and all of that and filters and all whatnot, there's so much to get in your head. But yeah, there's a lot of, Joy, I'm not blaming you. I'm not like trying to argue with you about, no, it is your
No.
damn fault. No, and I'm not criticizing your parents, Garza. I'm just saying that I think there's so many tiny little things throughout the
Yeah.
entire day that seep into our brains and our psyche. And I mean, she stabbed my soul when I heard that.
Yeah.
So, and it may have been very insignificant to her, but I'll never forget it. I'll never
Mm-hmm.
forget it. So anyway,
Yeah. That's so interesting. Carson, did your parents ever say like, "Hey, we noticed that, you're skipping dinner or breakfast, or just want to make sure you're making sure to fuel your body," or anything like that?
I was a really sneaky. I was really sneaky. I
Yeah.
would like prepare myself dinner and then eat it in my room. And I'm doing
Mhm.
Yeah.
air quotes and you can't see that, but I would also like
Yeah.
hide this is can I say gross things on here?
Oh yeah,
Oh, we
totally.
relish it.
Cheryl
Uh,
just doesn't like poop
No,
stories.
yeah, it's
oh, don't worry.
toilet. It's not the poop, Joy. It's the toilet.
Oh,
Okay,
and
go ahead.
cockroaches. You
Oh
can't talk
God,
about
yeah.
cockroaches.
If your story has a cockroach, I'm gonna have to
No,
file out for review. Okay, go
none of
ahead.
those.
All right, no, no poop, no cockroaches. Okay, we're good.
No, it was before I was bulimic, before I was throwing up, when I was restricting, I didn't have enough food in my system to throw it up. So like there was a point where I was trying to throw up, but if you only eat like like you example, like let's say I would only eat an apple, you really can't throw that up. Like
It's got
um
bile in your
Mhm.
stomach.
so
Yeah.
there's a certain type of disordered eating called chewing and spitting, and it's
Yeah.
exactly what it sounds like. And so I would do that. I would like get a bag of chips and then get an empty bag. And I would eat a whole bag of chips, spit it in the bag, whatever. But you can't just throw that away, right? Your parents are going to find it. So I would have to hide it. I would like tie it up in another bag and try to make it smell proof, which it definitely wasn't. And then I'd put it in a drawer, and then on trash day I'd have to run it out. I mean, I was going above and beyond to hide this.
Wow.
Um,
Mhm.
and they did end up finding it. My father actually found like a bag of what looked like vomit. I think it was even
Mhm.
multiple occasions that happened. And he brought it to my mom, and they both came to me, and they're like, "Are you throwing up?" And I was no, I'm not throwing up. And
Right.
they're like, "Well, then what is this?" I was like, "I just spit it out. It's no big deal. It's no big deal." Again, like downplaying it severely. Um, like, "Oh, I've never done that before. That was the first time." Like, I don't even know. Um,
Right. But I
so
think the thing that's so important is like kids don't always tell the truth. Like good kids don't tell the truth to their parents. And I think a lot of parents will say things that are so naive, like, my kids would never lie to me. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, but I'm here to tell you that they actually do. And they do it all the time. They just don't necessarily think of it as lying. Like you
Right.
weren't lying. You really weren't throwing up.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
it's like I also think that like we have to stop saying that bad kids lie and good kids don't lie. We have to just like
Yeah.
throw that notion out. Like, you know what? Kids are kids. People are people. So if you can get away with something, you're gonna try to get away with it any way that you can. And
Yeah.
at that point, it probably like, it's probably controlling you to a point where you feel like you have no control over your this behavior. And again, that's why they start and call it disordered eating before it becomes an eating disorder,
Mhm.
because in order for it to become an eating disorder, you have to establish patterns. And once these patterns are developed, it gets really hard to break the patterns. Again, what do they say? It takes 3 to 4 weeks to start a new habit. That's why people don't start new habits. So we're going to stop right here. Um, this podcast is a two-parter. So you're going to want to come back next week when we continue talking to Carson about her experience with treatment for an eating disorder and more questions and answers about eating disorders. So, even though we didn't talk about murder today, you know what is a crime?
What's that, Joy?
That we are out of time.
That's right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone, and don't complicate your day.